Moving is tough, let's be honest. It's probably one of the most stressful things you can do, right up there with buying and selling a house. Totally normal to feel overwhelmed, especially if you're moving from state to state. That's just gonna be a whole lot crazier. But I'm here to try to make that step a little bit smoother for you. So let's get started, let's dig into that. Hopefully by the time you're done watching this, you'll feel so ready to move that you'll be grabbing your phone to get things started. And by the way, while you're grabbing your phone, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Check out my information below. Send me a text, give me a ring, send me an email, no, don't send me smoke signals. I can't read smoke signals, but at least get your phone ready to get this moving, okay? So let's dive right into this, what it takes to move to Philadelphia, maybe even moving within Philadelphia, or from county to county. We're gonna make it a lot easier with these 6 steps, so let's get started. Step number 1, plan early. Seriously, plan early. If you're thinking about relocating to Philadelphia, or kind of like I said before, moving into Philadelphia, is figure out what you're gonna do. Are you gonna buy? Are you gonna rent? Do you have a house you need to sell? You wanna check things out, obviously, before you move here. You wanna check out the city, you wanna check out the different neighborhoods before committing to the actual move. Buying, though, might be a better long-term option if you're ready to settle down. You gotta remember, if you're thinking about staying here 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 years, buying might be the option, it might be the thing to do. But if you're only gonna stay for like 2 years, some kind of work project, you're gonna do 2 years of college, maybe you should think about just renting then. But it also comes different expenses. Buying is a lot higher front-end cost than renting, for example. Now, if you own a home, you have to decide whether if you're gonna sell that home, rent it. You have to figure that out based on your financial situation. And you might need some of that extra cash for the move. Neighborhoods here in Philadelphia, we're moving to Philly, have its own unique vibe. It's a good idea to visit first, figure things out and where you're gonna go from there. If you like livable, walkable areas with lots of restaurants and cool spots, you might check out Center City, which includes neighborhoods like Rittenhouse Square and Old City. You also have Society Hill, Queens Village. You can go across the river, make it sound bigger than it is, but I mean, it really isn't that big of a deal. To cross the river, you just take a bus, drive, or Uber. You can go to West Philly, maybe stay in University City if that's what the vibe you're looking for. You have areas like East Passyunk, which has great food, affordability. Now you have Chestnut Hill, Mount Airy, which is a little bit further outside of Philadelphia, especially when it comes to Center City. They're more family friendly. You have Fishtown, trendy, artsy, great food options. And then you have Society Hill, has more of a historic vibe to it. So you got to keep that in mind when you look into these different neighborhoods. Timing is everything. You don't want to look for a specific house too early, especially if your move isn't happening for a while. Instead, focus on learning about the neighborhoods, figure out how much it's going to cost to rent, how much it's going to cost to buy. You also figure out what job opportunities there are, if any, if you need them. Maybe you're a remote worker and you need to move to Philly for different reasons, such as family, college. Just want a different city, different states, different vibe. A lot of people move from different states just to come here to check it out and stay for a while. Now, transportation in Philly is pretty good. So if you're trying to get around, you got to know that, especially in one of the more walkable or bike-friendly neighborhoods. City, obviously, we have public transportation. Yes, we have subways, we have buses. That is run by SEPTA. Now, you also have Uber and Lyft, ride-share programs that you can utilize to get around the city of Philadelphia. Obviously, like I said before, a lot of stuff is walkable. A lot of stuff is just easy enough to use a bike. You see a lot of bikes, a lot of scooters. There was a while we had a lot of scooters. That's cut back a little bit. We still see the scooters or the electric bikes. You see them around a lot too. Now, starting early when you're planning can give you some perks. Gives you a little time to figure out what neighborhood works for you and what you're looking for, especially when it's something that fits your budget. You get a handle on the moving cost. Plus, if you're starting to get to know more of the city's culture and amenities before you make a big move. Step number 2, budget, budget, budget. Setting a budget is a huge part of planning your move to Philadelphia. Seriously, you gotta set that budget, okay? But figuring out how much you can afford and can't afford, what you can afford, what you're willing to pay, makes a lot of stress. But for the actual move, you gotta figure out what your budget is. Remember, there's a cost of renting, there's a cost of buying. There's a cost of renting in such as first deposit, last deposit, security deposit. But at the same time, when you're buying, you have costs of buying the house, inspections. So you have to be very mindful of that when you're moving here. Now, if you're moving a whole family, relocating from far away is gonna cost a lot more than if you're moving, for example, from New Jersey to Pennsylvania, compared to if you're moving from Utah to Pennsylvania. Totally different cost, totally different expense. Because if you move from Jersey, let's be honest, you can rent a U-Haul and make that happen. But if you're moving from Utah, now you're talking moving companies that can charge you a lot. Now, the size of the home, obviously, we talked about before, and the distance you're moving to. Actually, you have a lot of stuff, it costs you too. Now, a local move within Philadelphia can cost anywhere from $500 to $2,800. You can do a little bit cheaper if you got good friends in Philly and somebody has a cheap truck, or you can just go to good old U-Haul, rent a truck, bring your friends over. Now you can cut some costs. Now, if you have a lot of stuff, like say you have a 3-bedroom house, you move from a 3-bedroom house to a bigger house, you might have a lot of stuff in there. So obviously your friends might not be willing to help you out moving that 3-bedroom house. So you might have to get stuck with hiring some movers and a moving truck. Now, if you're moving far away, for example, for a couple states away, you're probably talking $2,000–3,000 for a moving company. The further you are, the more it's going to cost. It could cost anywhere from $10,000 to $13,000, or sometimes $15,000 for a moving company to take your stuff from one state to another state. Okay, and only certain moving companies are going to do that. I will say that, for example, in Philadelphia, if you're doing a local move, you can use, obviously, call U-Haul, get yourself a truck. You can also reach out to local movers like Mambo Movers, 2 men in a truck. I think it's 2 men or 2 guys in a truck. I think it's 2 guys in a truck. Either way, 2 guys, 2 men. I think it's 2 guys in a truck. A little more like local movers, or you can do, if you're gonna do more of a long distance removal, there's a company called Isaac & Sons and Storage Company. Some of these companies actually, what they'll do is they'll come and pick up your stuff, bring it to a storage unit in the meantime while you finalize your move. Keep that in the back of your head when you're using these larger moving companies. They have, facilities where you can store your items while you're prepping that move from state to state. Also, I talked about before, we talked about these 3 different, talked about Mama Movers, 2 guys in a truck, Isaac & Sons and Storage. Make sure you Google, go on there, see, trying to get some quotes. Don't go for the first one. Sometimes that's probably the most expensive. Get like 2 or 3, 4 quotes, and also check out their reviews. A lot of moving companies are out there, a lot of mom and pop shops, or they just popped up for the day kind of thing. They might not have the greatest reviews, so make sure you check out the reviews. Compare the prices before you make that decision on what you're gonna do. Also, the cool thing is when you are moving, you could do like storage pods. You could do that where they actually, say you're in like upstate Nebraska, you're coming from Nebraska, you're coming to Philadelphia, you can get a storage pod. And you're home in Nebraska, you can start filling things up. And as soon as that storage pod is done, you can either leave it there at the house, or you can have them take it to a storage facility, store most of your items until you're actually ready to do that final move. So keep that on your head. Again, get prices, get reviews, figure out what works best for you and your family. Now, once you're in Philadelphia, you gotta remember, you gotta think about monthly expenses, ongoing expenses. The average rent for a 1-bedroom, for example, can be anywhere from $1,300 up to $2,300. And if you need a 2, 3, or 4-bedroom house or apartment, townhouse, condo, that's what just kind of is going to range cost-wise, anywhere from $1,800 up to, you can do rentals for up to $6,000 if that's what you're looking for, something more luxury. Absolutely, make sure that they are there if you want that. But if you're doing more of you're trying to keep an eye on your monthly expenses, the same thing. You want to shop around when it comes to your rental, where to live, what to live in. So you keep that in mind, all right? Now keep it also, if you're gonna buy, average cost of price of buying a home, the cost of a house is about, the average as of this time last year was about $2,800. So keep that in the back of your head. So you got rent anywhere from $1,300 all the way up to $6,000. I would say if you want a little slightly better neighborhood for at least for a 1-bedroom, you're probably looking at least $1,500–1,600 for 1-bedroom. 3 or 4 bedrooms, now you're in $2,000 up to $3,000, $4,000 a month. Buying a home, depending on what area, same thing. Average sale price in Philadelphia, again, at $280,000. But like I said, it also depends on your neighborhood, where you're living, what you're living for. Want a row home, want a twin, a condo, single home. That's always gonna fluctuate the issues when it comes to your buying. Now also remember, now you also can keep an eye on utilities, things like electricity, water, gas can run you anywhere from $200, $300, $400 a month, depending on your family, depending on those kids. Remember to turn off those lights. Remember, if they don't turn off the lights, the electricity just keeps on going and you got a high electric bill. Remember that, okay? Same thing, if you're living by yourself, it's a little bit easier to remind yourself to turn off the lights, but when you got other family members living with you and you gotta remind them to turn off the lights, it turns into a pain and you know what. Now, food here is slightly more expensive than the national average. And transportation costs are about 8% higher than usual. So it is pretty expensive that you use the subway. But I'll be honest with you, I've done it many times. It's not that bad. Just to give you a heads up. Uber and Lyft obviously comes with their prices. Same thing, we do have cabs here too, don't remember that. Now, to live comfortably in Philadelphia, a single person would probably need anywhere from $50,000 to $70,000 depending on your lifestyle. If you're a full-on family, you're looking 80 to 100 and up. 80 to 100,000 and up when it comes to living in Philadelphia. And it's the same thing if you're living right outside of Philadelphia. I would always tell people follow the 50, 30, and 20 rule when it comes to your budgets. 50% for needs, 30% for wants, 20% for savings. That should put you in a pretty good range when it comes to saving up for staying within your budget by living in Philadelphia. Now, if you start looking at homes like on Zillow or apartments.com, make sure you reach out to your guy. This guy right here, you know, here's my contact info. Give me a little text, send me a DM, give me a call, send me an email. So make sure you do that before. Even if you're thinking about just renting, give me a call or hit me up. Let me know like, hey, I'm thinking about renting. What do you think about this neighborhood? What do you think about that? Obviously, I always tell people, make sure you come and visit before you actually sign a lease. Obviously, if you're gonna buy, that's a whole different story. We would sit down and talk about that and get into more talks about what to do, what we're looking for, also connect you with a lender also. Now, sticking to a solid budget will make your move to Philadelphia much easier. It'll help you worry less about money and enjoying the city more, all right? Number 3, step 3 out of 6. Talked about it before, research potential neighborhoods. We have like a good 100 unique neighborhoods around here. Yes, 100. You have the bigger neighborhoods and then they break down to separate neighborhoods in there. So you have to figure out, like, do you want more like a city vibe? Do you want more like a suburban vibe? We have that in Philadelphia. You can live right in center city. You can choose to do that. You got Rittenhouse Square, Society Hill, Queens Village. You have all those little neighborhoods around there. You have basically what we do is Philadelphia is broken up to so many different zip codes. So I tell people, listen, figure out what zip code you want to live in, then figure out what neighborhood, and then you can break it down to actual streets you want to live in. So you got to remember, like in South Philly, for example, my mother used to live in South Philly, and it's very typical of rest of Philadelphia, where you might live on a great block. Seriously, my mom lived in an amazing block. Her street won the cleanest street in Philadelphia for several years, called the Sun City Award, something like that. It had block captains, but if you went 3 blocks over, it wasn't the best of neighborhoods, right? It wasn't the best of part of that neighborhood. So Philly is very specific on what street you're living in, what block you're living in, because it could change real quick. Within like 2 minutes, you're in perfect, beautiful area, beautiful street with trees, tree-lined streets, the whole 9 yards. People pick up after themselves, but then you go 3-4 blocks over, it's a totally different vibe. And you have to keep an eye on that when you move into Philadelphia. That's why I always tell people, make sure, research your neighborhoods. Do a little Google Earth. Freaking amazing doing Google Earth. Who knew 20 years ago we would have something where we can just type in the street, use Google Earth and just focus in on that neighborhood. You can check it around, you can move the cursor around, and you can see everything that's going on in the neighborhood. Some areas in Philadelphia, like I talked about, Society Hill, Rittenhouse Square, a little more on the expensive side. You're talking $750,000 and up, depending on what kind of amenities you want. Like if you want a Ritz-Carlton condo, you're looking at a 2-3 bedroom, you're looking at $1 million. But if you're looking at a nice little row home in Society Hill, you're looking at $650,000 and up, $650,000 and up. So it all depends on your budget. That's what we talked about before. Budget, budget, budget. So keep that in your mind, okay? You do have old awesome areas to rent in. I always talk about Old City, Roxborough, Manayunk, some of my favorite areas. You can even, if you want a whole different kind of vibe, again, I talked about in the beginning, across the bridge, University City, totally different. More of a college vibe, college style, amazing restaurants, real tight-knit community over there. But that's University City, different setup, different feeling. Like I talked about, you want more of a quiet suburban feel, Chestnut Hill, Roxborough, Manayunk, Mount Airy, but you want a more of an eclectic neighborhood, Fishtown, Midtown Village. They're just all awesome. It all depends on the style and what you're looking for. I'm telling you, I've had another family come here specifically. They wanted that urban life with a suburban house. And they ended up buying a house in Roxborough because they felt like they were 15, 20 minutes away from Center City, so they can pop into Center City, have some nice dinner, and pop right back out into a little quiet little neighborhood. So that's the things you want to think about. Now, some people, I had another guy from New York City. He wanted that vibe. He wanted to be close to Center City. He ended up buying a house in Fishtown. He wanted that great food ambiance. He wanted that nightlife ambiance. He wanted all that all the time. So that's why he ended up buying a house in Fishtown. So keep that. Fishtown, Port Richmond, same thing. When it comes to Philly, buses and trains are pretty awesome. They run pretty smoothly. It's easy to get around. Like if you live in Center City, you really don't need a car. It is funny, like in New York City, I don't know why anybody owns a car in New York City, because if you live in New York City and you work in New York City, you're most likely taking the train. So why would you have a car payment and pay for parking? In Philly, you will see more people with cars, but parking is becoming atrocious. There used to be like one house, one car back in the day, but now it's like one house has 3 cars, which means you're finding parking by your house, it's almost impossible. It's like winning the lottery. You got your car, you got a little parking spot in front of your house. So a lot of people that move here from out of state, they'll hold on to maybe one of their cars. But a lot of times if you have 2 or 3 cars, they usually end up getting rid of them and just keeping one, because it's so much easier to get around depending on where you live in Philly. Like if you live in Center City, why even have a car? You got the buses, you got the subway, you got Uber, you got Lyft. Yes, you got regular cab too. You can take that too, okay? Let's not like do away with Uber and Lyft, but let's not forget about our, mom and pop shop, cab drivers. So that's very important to get into. Now, safety obviously is a concern for everybody, and Philly is no different. Some neighborhoods are more safer than others. I tell people all the time, make sure you do Google reviews on the neighborhood. I have even told clients of mine to call the police station. Yes, call the police department and say, hey, I'm thinking about moving here. What's going on over there? Like, what do you think? Is that a safe neighborhood? And yes, I have directed people to call the police themselves to get that information, because you got to remember, do your due diligence. I'm going to repeat that again. If you're looking to rent, looking to buy, I will do everything I can to get you all the information as possible, but you also got to do your own little due diligence to figure out where you want to be. Is it safe? Is it not safe? That's up to you how you do that, but make sure you do your own research, especially if you're making a big move. Like if you're gonna plan on staying here for the next 10 years, do some research on the neighborhoods. Like I said before, community vibe, Queen Village, Midtown Village, humongous culture diversity and local events. I mean, you got the Midtown Fall Festival, which is pretty awesome in the village over there. So make sure you check that out. Go visit if you can, if you're there. Manayunk has a Manayunk Food Festival. My Lord, it's amazing. It's amazing. Basically, they shut off Main Street in Manayunk and put all the vendors, all the food, they just open it up to public, and you can just walk down the street, and it's just a great vibe. Those festivals still are, they exist around here in Philadelphia, and people don't realize that, but you gotta know where they are and what neighborhoods they're in. So that's why I always, again, due diligence. Step number 4, jobs and education. Philly is a pretty exciting city for families. There's a lot to do for young kids, older kids, no kids, adults only. We got a lot of stuff going on there. But we have affordability, city conveniences, but one thing you have to keep in mind is the public school system. It's a very important, we definitely want to get into that, because the public school system here isn't always the greatest. There are some schools, yes, some high schools, some middle schools, elementary schools are great in Philadelphia. Then there are others that are not. So when you are researching your neighborhoods, when you're looking into crime and safety, but if schools are important to you, you got to make sure that you do that research too. We don't rank the top in the country, so the quality of schools depends on the neighborhoods. I've had buyers come to me and say, listen, what they do is they pick a zip code, and then they figure out within that zip code which school they want, and they want to make sure they live within that sector, basically. Oh, we want to live in this neighborhood, such and such zip code. We want to live in this sector, because in this sector, the kids go to this specific school. We like that school, that's where we'll be in. That also narrows down your search a lot, all right? Makes your life a little bit easier. Because you gotta remember, moving, like I said before, it will drive you crazy. Like it really, the emotional toll takes on you, the physical toll it takes on you. So you wanna make your life as easy as possible. Of course, that's why we're doing this video. So, but make sure if schools are important to you, do your homework on that. Obviously, if school isn't important to you, do the search on that, and then don't worry about it. Then you do look more at restaurants and see what kind of nightlife you're looking for, or if parks or trails are more important to you. Now, the public school systems, like I said, it could be hit or miss. Hitting that neighborhood, hitting the correct one is very, very important. Now, we do have certain areas like Chestnut Hill, Mount Airy, have great family and friendly environments, and have very good schools over there. So there are places that have neighborhoods that have amazing schools, like I said before, some that do not, that is very important to keep an eye on that. Now, when it comes to colleges, that's a whole different story here. I'm telling you, our colleges here are amazing. I'm a proud graduate of LaSalle alma mater, got my master's degree from there. Can speak nothing but highly things about nothing but high regard for LaSalle. but there are other schools too. Obviously, we have Villanova, we have St. Joe, Chestnut Hill College, Arcadia University, University of Pennsylvania, which by the way is an Ivy League school, all right? So keep that in the back of your head. Drexel, the list goes on and on. You want a bigger school environment for your college, for your kids to go to college? Villanova and St. Joe's. You want a little smaller feel? Chestnut Hill. LaSalle University is kind of like in the middle, for example. Yes, I'm throwing some love out to LaSalle only because I'm an alma mater, but seriously, any colleges here, just about all of them are amazing. Now, when it comes to Philadelphia job market, it's another reason why it's a great place to move here, especially for families. The city has a diverse range of industries, including law, technology, healthcare, finance. We have huge Fortune 500 companies, for example, Comcast, headquarters right on Market Street. It's a beautiful building, by the way. Go check it out. And actually, if you get to the Comcast building and you're out there lunchtime visiting, you actually have a whole bunch of food spots. If you walk in the main door, step to the right or to the left, can't remember. It's one way or the other. It's either right or left. It's been a while since I've been there. But downstairs in the basement, they have a food court down there that's open for the public, by the way. The food is amazing down there. A lot of people don't know about this, so little hint, little tip when you're down there checking out Comcast building. But there are some amazing job opportunities here when it comes to that. And in fact, if you go a little bit outside of Philadelphia, tremendous amount of pharmaceutical companies like Johnson & Johnson that are out there. Merck, probably 30 to 40 minutes outside of the city of Philadelphia. So not only within the city, you also have a humongous job opportunity and huge job market right outside of Philadelphia too. So a lot of people, they figure out like, hey, we'll come to Philadelphia, we'll stay in Philly for a while and then move to the suburbs. Or we'll just stay in Philly because we like the vibe, we like our neighborhood, but we'll travel back and forth. We'll take the train, we'll take what's called the regional rail. A lot of people do that to get out to the suburbs, or they drive, obviously. We also have some major federal operations here, U.S. Mint, located right in Philadelphia. In fact, if I remember correctly, by the U.S. Mint location where the building is, right across the street is actually the gravesite of Benjamin Franklin. Don't know who Benjamin Franklin is? I guess you slept during your history class, but his grave is right outside the U.S. Mint building. We also have some major top hospitals and research institutions here to get back into the center city of Philadelphia. So you have great opportunities just with these hospitals, a large amount of hospitals here, a large amount of research institutes here. Now, talked about Philadelphia and the neighborhoods. Keep in mind, I mentioned it before, we have several areas in Philly that are great just for families, offer suburban feel, like we talked about Chestnut Hill, and family-friendly amenities, Chestnut Hill, Roxborough, Manayunk, Mount Airy, the list goes on and on and on. So it's out there. I do love Manayunk and Roxborough. I love Chestnut Hill too. It's just awesome. Like, got a little urban feel, but a little suburban. If you're in Chestnut Hill, a lot of history down there. Over at Chestnut Hill, they still have road. The main road there is cobblestone. I mean, when was the last time you saw a cobblestone road and it's in the part of a city? So it just gives a wholly different vibe there. So you have that, Mount Airy, diverse community and good for schools. East Fall is full of parks and recreation centers, making a great place for kids. So you just gotta do a little bit of research. Obviously, again, reach out to this guy. If you need help with anything, contact information is below. Number 5, prepare all necessary documents. We wanna put that out there. Paperwork. When you're doing your move, I don't care if you're renting, buying, selling, paperwork everywhere. You have to keep track of that. And I always tell people, listen, when you're moving, make sure you put aside a box or two, write big letters on there, paperwork, documents, so you know where all your stuff is. And I'm talking passports, birth certificates, social security cards, information for banks, information for your old, soon-to-be old utility companies, because they're going to be hounding you for payments if you haven't stayed up to date on their payments. But you always forget these different things, so make sure you have a separate box for that. Obviously, let your old post office know, update your address, let the old post office know that this is going to be my new address, and then you got to go to your new post office and tell them, hey, this is my address now. So this is where all my mail is going to go. You can do mail forwarding address service. If you go on their website, on the post office website, you can actually do it right online. I think it's like $2 to change the address. It used to be $1, but I think it's $2 now. You also got to make sure you have the correct addresses because, listen, you got to get your bills. Your card payments got to get paid. Things need to get paid and people are going to hunt you down. So you might as well just change the address so they know where to find you. And also when you are doing things, when you're moving into the new place, you got to make sure you set up utilities, electricity, water, gas. Is that needed? You need to make sure you shut off the utilities from your old place, utilities for your new place. You got to set up. And don't forget, I don't know if I don't have cable TV anymore. Some people still do. Obviously, set up cable for your new place. A lot of people here use Comcast or Verizon when it comes to cable TV, but a lot more people are getting rid of cable. Wonder why? Can't be because it's expensive. No, not at all. Yes, it's very expensive, I'll be honest with you. We also use, same thing here when it comes to internet service. You want to get that set up, especially if you have kids. If you have kids, for the love of everything, get your internet set up. Comcast, Verizon, and I'm gonna throw a little love to T-Mobile. Absolutely gotta throw a little love to T-Mobile. They charge $50. 50, I'm telling you. $50, that's it, 50. And it's saying, they're claiming they're never gonna raise it. $50 for internet service, compare that to other providers. I have T-Mobile in my house, yes, it's $50. I don't have cable, I got rid of that. Cable bill is like $200, why? Anyway, you gotta make sure that's taken care of. So before you move, while you're moving, you gotta make sure you juggle those balls when it comes to that, all right? So update your bank information, your credit card information, so you don't fall behind on your credit card payment, because you don't wanna fall behind on your credit card payment if you plan on buying a house. So in other words, if you're gonna rent here, and then you decide like, hey, I'm gonna buy a house, and you miss the payment, if you missed one credit card payment, you actually have to wait a year. If you're late, that's fine. Miss a credit card payment, you actually have to wait a whole year, because that's what the lender's gonna tell you. To be like, oh, you missed a credit card payment. Because if you miss a credit card payment, you might miss a mortgage payment. That's how they look at things. All right, make sure everything, your online shopping. Oh, this is a new one. We used to never talk about this before, but now, Amazon. Yes, let's talk about Amazon real quick. You gotta remember, you gotta change your Amazon address. You gotta change it, because God forbid you order something and they deliver it to your old address when you need it at your new address, and make sure you change your delivery address on Amazon. And sometimes, I don't do this very often, but I wanna remind people, I'm not plugging Amazon. Just like I wasn't plugging T-Mobile, Amazon is pretty awesome. So make sure you change that address, because if you're ordering stuff for your new home and you have it delivered in the middle of the move, you gotta make sure it's being delivered to the correct address. You don't wanna deliver it to your old address while you're in the process of moving to the new one, all right? Obviously, update your driver's license. Here we have PennDOT, that's PENNDOT, Pennsylvania Department of Transportation. That's where you're gonna go to update your driver's license. Like if you plan on staying here for 5 years, update your driver's license to Pennsylvania. Please, just do that. And don't forget to get your real ID. I guess that's a thing now, plus you have a passport. Anyway, actually when you can do that, a lot of stuff, your voter registration can also be done online in the state of Pennsylvania. It actually happens automatically. When you update your driver's license, your voter registration changes from your old state and address to your new state and new address. And don't forget, if you're updating your driver's license, update your vehicle registration and your car insurance. Number 6, this is probably my favorite thing. Number 6, decluttering and packing. The final step as you're moving. So not only if you're going through all this process of renting, buying, freaking it all out, now you gotta pack. I'm gonna tell you something. I don't tell this to a lot of people. I have moved, ready? I've moved 32 times. Yes, 32 times. I'm not exaggerating. From the time I was 18 to my age now, I'm not gonna tell you what my age is now. I started moving when I was 18. I have moved 32 times. There was a while, I'm too old now to carry stuff, so don't, as your realtor, future realtor, I'll help you with some stuff, some of the light stuff. Yes, I've done that before. I've helped clients move. Don't expect me to lift your couch anymore. Back in the day, sure, no problems. But I used to have friends who would call me, like, Chris, I'm moving. I need your help. You've done this how many times now? And by then it was like 19, 20 times. You gotta come and help me. I'll never forget a friend. I moved down to Philadelphia in 1999, and I had a friend who followed me a couple of years later. And we came from upstate New York. It's a true story. I went to see him the day before he moved, and he had a huge mid-size U-Haul truck, humongous. And it was just him and his wife. And I called him up and said, hey, how's things going? And he's like, he goes, I'm running out of room. I don't have any more room in my truck. And I went, what are you talking about? You got the big truck, right? He goes, yeah. You got your couch? He goes, I don't have any more room. My truck is full. And I'm like, there's no way you have that much trash. By the way, that's what goes back to decluttering, okay? If you haven't used it in a year, throw it away. If you haven't used it in 2 years, definitely throw it away. If there's a shirt, pair of pants you haven't worn forever, throw it away. If you haven't used this item that you bought from Amazon because it looks so cool, you're like, I'm gonna buy this, you used it, tried it once, throw it away. Same thing goes for those little kitchen appliances, like your ice cream bread maker, ice cream maker, bread maker. You bought it, you used it twice, throw that garbage away. Don't hold on to that. For the love of everything, just get rid of it. Don't bring it from 5 states away. If you really want it, then when you move in, get a new one. That mixer you've never used that you're gonna use to buy you're gonna make those awesome brownies and make that beautiful fresh bread that you still haven't used the mixer, throw it in the trash. You know, that Ninja mixer that you're gonna make those protein shakes, get rid of it. Unless you're using it for margaritas still, then keep it, obviously. Anyway, I digress. So I went to visit my buddy. I went to his house. I opened up his truck and I just looked and I was like, what is this? What are you doing? He had literally taken everything, all his boxes, and just put them on the floor of the truck. Like it was just laying out one level. I started busting out laughing. I said, that's not how you do things. He goes, oh, I've never moved before. What are you talking about? Some of you may not remember this, but there used to be a game called Tetris, that little Nintendo game where the boxes, you know, the things had to fit in the holes. That's how you do it when you move. Obviously, if you hire movers, who cares? Let them do their thing. But if you're doing it on your own, look at as the back of the truck as a Tetris game. Every box, put the heavy stuff on the bottom, and then you fill on top with the lighter stuff. If there's a hole to fit a box, put it in there, because you want to make sure that truck, the back of that truck is as jam-packed as possible. And trust me, by the time I was done helping him, it took me like 10, 15 minutes, he had 2/3 of the truck available. And his mind was just blown. So, remember that, important points. I've moved 32 times. I know how to fill up a truck. You gotta fill out every empty space in the back of that truck. If you're doing it yourself, obviously, again, using it. If you're using a mover, who cares? Let them deal with it. Just stay out of the way. The cool thing is with movers, now I've moved a couple times as I've gotten older, is if you get a good moving truck and a good set of movers, you can just kick back, relax, and just watch them, you know, direct them where to take things. And by the way, when you're packing things, make sure you mark every box. Don't make the rookie mistake of putting all your kitchen appliances in something, or all your kitchen utensils, and forgetting what box you put them in. So if there is kids' clothes, put the child's name on the box so they know what room it goes to. Because then when the movers come, you can easily direct them. Like, oh, kitchen, boom, put it in there. Living room, boom, over here. Oh, that's so-and-so's room. That's on the second floor, put that in there. Makes your life easier unpacking because all the boxes that belong to that room will be in that room. Otherwise, the movers are just gonna bring things in. They're just gonna unload it in your living room. Then you gotta figure out which goes where. Mark the boxes, names, and rooms they're supposed to be in. Okay, remember that. If it's basement, just put right basement, and the movers will bring it right into the basement. Moving it is, like I said before, get rid of the garbage. Seriously, again, declutter, get rid of the garbage. If you haven't used it in forever, get rid of it. Great time now to buy some new furniture. If you look at your couch and go, oh, I don't know about this couch, put it on the street curb. That's the other thing too, that people don't realize a lot of times, depending on your neighborhood, obviously. But here in Philly, if you put something on the street corner, something that looks semi-decent, somebody will take it, you know. But that, so your trash is someone else's treasure, works very well in Philadelphia. So if you do move here and you realize, oh, we're never gonna use this chair. This is an ugly chair. Why did I bring this chair? Just put it on the street corner. Somebody will take it. Also, when you're moving, there's a couple ways. You can get free boxes. Yes, boxes. You're gonna be needing a lot of boxes, depending on how much stuff you have. If you don't have a lot of stuff, listen, it is what it is. Then you can just go down to the local grocery store and ask them if they got any free boxes that you can take. A lot of times they give it to you. I'll tell you one time, one of my biggest moves I ever made. I had a condo, I had a car, and I was going back to college. I sold everything. I sold my couch, my chair, and everything. I literally had 2 suitcases. I was making a very long distance move. I didn't want to bring anything. I only brought 2 suitcases full of clothes. That's it. Talk about decluttering. That's all I had. But getting back to moving again. If you don't have a lot of stuff, like I said before, go to the grocery store, see if they got any boxes that you can use. If you want to be more efficient, go to the U-Haul store and buy boxes. In fact, the cool thing with U-Haul, if you buy a whole bunch of boxes, now this is more of in-state move, within city move. Obviously from state to state, this is not going to work. I don't think, but you could check with U-Haul, but U-Haul will take back the boxes you have bought. So in other words, if the boxes are in good shape and you've used them, if you take them back to U-Haul, I believe they'll credit you for those boxes. Okay, keep that in the back of your head. Make sure you get, you know, boxes, different sizes. U-Haul, I'm not just using U-Haul because they have the smaller boxes, medium size, large, and extra large. And when you're there, get bubble wrap and packing tape. Bubble wrap and packing tape are your 2 best friends, other than boxes, obviously. So make sure you check that out. But yeah, I believe U-Haul will credit you back some of the money that you paid. If you made it this far, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button. Need anything, don't hesitate to call me, send me a text, send me an email. Talk to you on the next video.